We're here, man. Welcome to the show. We have a legend in the making here, the Melody Gad joining me here on the show. Sports Hip Hop with DJ Mad Max, Live 365, iHeartRadio, Vibes Weekend, available on all platforms. Cranium is joining me here
Well,
on the show here today. How's it going, man? How's everything going?
everything's going good.
You out in Queens right now?
Now I'm in Long Island actually,
Oh,
but
you're in Long Island right now.
I'm in Long Island now. Yeah.
Yeah. I heard that you might be considering getting an apartment out in the UK. Are those still in the plans? Because you love it out
I
there.
feel I love UK a lot, man. I feel like UK is like my second home, and I think eventually I might just pack up and just go there for a minute. You know what I mean? But it's a place where I feel like this year I want to spend some time, probably in the winter. I want to go for there for like a 3 months or chill. You know.
Yeah, you always want to get out there and perform, and especially if the people want to see you down there perform. I know a lot of artists go overseas because sometimes they don't feel as though they're as accepted in the States. But yeah, it's important to have an international following. And you're the first first dancehall artist based out of New York to have an international hit since Shaggy. So that's big time.
Yeah, man, it's a good feeling, it's a good look, and I feel like it's a lot of work, you know. But I feel like what I would say is I feel like most importantly, um, the harder the challenge is, I think the longer the artists last because of the work that you have to put in. So it's more, it's like there's a lot of drive to get it done. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's what really makes me actually.
And you're seeing the impact. Nobody has to know. It took 2 years to blow up. What were you doing in between this time? Because that's a long time for one record to blow up. And it worked out. Hard work, it paid off. The good things come to those who wait, and it certainly did.
100%. I feel like that time I think we had just had Sandy, the storm. So I feel like I was going to transition of trying to figure out a way to go from here on, you know. And I feel like that was my gift from God. Like, yo, here, take this record and go do what I gotta do. Because I had songs before nobody else know, but it was just locally. But I feel like when that whole situation happened, I feel like my tunnel vision focus was different and it really paid off, you know.
It did pay off. Clarendon, Jamaica, the Bronx, Florida. You've moved around a lot, coming back to Queens. You're good friends with Prodigy. He was like a mentor for you early on. When was the first time that you met Prodigy? Rest in peace, the legendary Mobb Deep.
Yeah, rest in peace. I met Prodigy through a friend of mine called Tyson. I think that was like way before, probably like 11, 12, a little bit when he got out of jail. And when we first met, it was just a vibe. And it's crazy. That was the first time I met Barnes and Levy too, because they was working on this record. And that's why I became close with Waka Flocka, Men Change Jobs around that time. French Montana, that whole, when they did that feature, I don't remember what the record is called, but it was Mobb featuring Waka Flocka at that time. So around that time when we got really close, and me and Prodigy used to make a couple moves by ourselves. Actually, we went to the city. He's the first artist I hang out with like him, man, and just walking around on a regular day, and it just we learned so much. You know, I learned a lot from Prodigy as far as like hip hop side of things. He was very familiar with the dancehall market. I feel like he really wanted to see how much he could help me, but you know, dancehall is a very niche market, and I don't think he understood it fully. It was more like your advice, and I appreciate that more than anything because maybe that's why I'm so humble today. Because that was a very humble man. Rest in peace. Like Prodigy is one of the humblest artists I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the most humble guys. Rest in peace. It's a shame that we lost him a few years ago. An
Yeah.
icon for sure. You went to Summer Jam, I heard, with him too. You the Summer Jam?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The first time I ever went to Summer Jam was with Prodigy, and then yeah, that's crazy. First Summer Jam I went to was with Prodigy, and that was an experience because I get to see it from the other side, trying to be an artist. You know what I mean? And it was a great experience to see everybody, see how the whole box is set up. At that time, that was my dream to be an artist. So just to be in an environment and being around all those artists was amazing. It was great.
He knew you were going to be big too. He wasn't the type that was even pressuring you to sign or anything, but he just knew that you were going to be big.
100%. Prodigy knew I was dope. Prodigy, it's crazy because Prodigy always say, yo, you're different. You have a sound and it's gonna work. And he always makes sure that he connect with people. I think the first time I talked to Bounty Killer was through Tyson with Prodigy in the studio, if I vividly remember. But yeah, man, he's yeah, Prodigy is Prodigy, man. There's never gonna be an next Prodigy.
No.
Yeah.
Do you have something in the vault with him? Did you get to record anything with him at all?
I've never recorded Prodigy, but I've done like harmonies and records. I don't remember for what song. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was doing that. It was when he was doing that Barnes and Levy record. I don't remember 100%. but I definitely remember going in the booth a couple times to do some stuff.
Amazing. And used to be around Queensbridge Road. You remember seeing Tony Yayo, Lloyd Banks back in the day too.
All of
So
them.
you're around all these guys. Yeah.
Yeah, all of them. I used to be on 165. I see them all the time. You know what I mean? Live Bomb, Stony Yayo, yeah, Prodigy 50. I've seen, you know, every artist that came through that studio, I've seen them. You know, some I can't remember, and you know, I was young at the time, but most of a lot of artists.
What was your most memorable story? Because you said it, you've seen everyone come through that studio. What's the most memorable one
The
that
most
comes to
memorable
mind?
story I remember, I can't even talk about it. That's the craziest thing. But I can say that I wanted to be an artist. You know?
Yeah. But you're also and learning about your history, because this talent is blood related as well, because me learning about your uncle Screwdriver, did you get to talk to him early on about how he put you on to some game about how the music industry works?
Yeah, it's crazy. I used to be around him when I was living in Florida, and he used to tell me that music is gonna go to melodies, and I didn't understand what he was saying at the time. He's like, it's gonna be less words and more melodies. I remember vividly. And I used to try to DJ. I don't know what a DJ is. Not someone that plays music. I'm talking like what they call rap in America. We call it DJs. It's less singing and more flow. And that's what I was doing at the time. And he was like, no, you have a voice, you can really sing. And I think stop DJing hardcore and singing more. I feel like it created a sound with a blend of like, I could give you a sick flow, but I could still sing my hooks. And like I learned everything from him. I give that a Screwdriver. That man is one of the, I don't know, that man is a teacher. Yeah, like he knew exactly what was gonna happen. He knew exactly what I needed to learn. He know the sound that I need to adapt to. And yeah.
Yeah, Vibes Weekend out now. This is the newest single that we're pushing here. Tell me the story behind it, because it's definitely a vibe for sure.
Yeah, so Vibes Weekend was created at the studio in border between Queens and Long Island, Elmont. And good friend of mine, Chemist Records, who he did the One Matic record, like that's one of Ken's biggest records that broke him. And like, you know, Governors and that same rhythm, a lot of artists. And he's somebody I've worked with a lot. But it's so crazy. I was driving and I was calling randomly and I said, yo, I feel like I have this song I want to sing. I didn't know what the song was. I just felt that energy. The way I go to the studio, I don't work off of like scheduled. I don't do scheduled studio. So I can't be like, yo, I'm going to do this next week. It's very hard for me unless if you have other body of people that's working in the studio. But as far as me working by myself, I just randomly get up and just go to the studio. And it was just a random day and I felt like my heart felt like that's what I wanted to sing. And, you know, I went to the studio and that's what we created that record.
I know I heard about your whole situation with you being signed to Atlantic, now being Melody Gad. You're on your own now. What's something that you took from being with Atlantic and being with a major label that you're applying to your independent record company now?
What I've learned now is what I've learned with Atlantic. Oh my God, I've learned a lot. I've learned that dancehall music is not a priority; it's a flavor. And be yourself 100%. I know it's the most cliche thing when we say be yourself because it's the most basic truth. Like it's just be yourself. I don't try to come on a record and try to be American. I don't try to sing things that I think this is what's working now. I've learned to just learn how to like maneuver in a room, understand that this is not necessarily about you all the time. And yeah, just the base. The base is just base. Atlantic teach me just don't try to follow a trend. Just do what you need to do, and you will last in this thing. You know what I mean? And that's basically what I'm doing.
It was funny hearing how that eventually went down for you when you did get signed to Atlantic. I think it was someone saying it was like one of your close friends, someone you met at a barbecue, saying their sister was trying to get at you.
I got signed out. Yeah, I got. Well, first I saw the tweet. Somebody, not somebody. No, let me fix that up. Latanya Lee hit me up and she said, trying to sign me. At the time, I didn't know who she was, and I was at a barbecue in Rosedale in Queens, in the trenches, all in a vibe. And this guy was randomly walk up to me and was like, yo, my sister try to reach out to you. Like, she think you're dope. And I was like, oh, where? And he said, Twitter. And then I put two and two together and I was like, oh, makes sense. And then at that time, I don't know if I was working with Pee Wee at the time, But the transition, I know Pee Wee got involved in that because I remember sending over that link to him. So I guess we just started working. I'm not sure. I don't want to mix up the story. But it all started in our barbecue with Atlantic. And that's when I really took it serious, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Now that you're with Melody Gad, you're on your own here, the independent label. How do you looking to increase now? Because you got the hit records. What are you looking as far as future? You're looking at some other artists out there to put a part of your label. How do you plan on growing the record label right now?
I feel like for now it's all about sealing myself completely. I think I've learned so much things. I feel like there's more to be done. But as far as my end goal in this thing is basically, I don't even have a goal. I feel like it's more about doing everything to the best of my ability. And whatever I reap from that, I'll accept it. But moving more down in my career, I definitely want to see more artists from the States rise in dancehall music. I feel that would make me super happy because it was just like a myth to a lot of people and a mystery to a lot of people. And I feel like with the experience that I have and the kind of laying a cutout for myself, I feel like I want to share that information moving forward. Yeah.
You mentioned it before that dancehall is not a priority. It's a flavor, and also it being a numbers game now. Because I remember hearing in other interviews saying that this isn't the what you really think it is, because the numbers tell you otherwise, that it's not a priority. This is what frustrates me, being someone that really appreciates great music, which you make, is that it's all based on numbers now. When did you start to notice that it wasn't feeling anymore? It was all numbers are what matters. Forget the feeling.
I feel like me, okay, nobody else knows launched me in a different light very quickly. So I was exposed to a lot of different rooms, you know, a lot of different people. Whoever was the top guy when I came out with the music, I was in the rooms with them. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody else knows a big record that represents dancehall. And as time goes by, I realized that the conversation was always about who have a lot of followers and who getting this much streams and stuff like that. With dancehall is that we don't have enough numbers off the back to show to like big companies like this record is moving. If you're not in the street to know that it's moving is very hard. And then the real hard job comes when I have to, a management team have to convince a DJ like, yo, this is the song. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what the numbers where, for instance, some markets like the African market or the hip hop market, there's no, in New York alone is much people. It's like what, 7 million people, if I'm not mistaken. So if a record is really working in New York, you're gonna see the numbers. For us, so it's very hard to like calculate the numbers to really bring forth to them. So most of the times records are older while they break, because by the time the numbers match how big the song is considered old, and then it's like a big problem of explaining to them like, yo, what is old to us is new to them. So now we gotta start again. So that's where I said numbers become a problem, because personally, I've seen some big records go under the rug because, you know, there's no number to prove that these are big records, and that's the problem with dancehall music. You know, back then, a DJ going to the club and he play any record that's mashing up the place, that we go on radio with this record because this is a song. You know what I'm saying? But now it's kind of hard to like really structure that, and that's what I mean by numbers. It's a numbers game, and it's not right.
Yeah, no, it's not. It could be fabricated, and to me, I think the best hip hop albums this year came out are Lloyd Banks, the Course the Inevitable 3. Dave East released a great album, but this is me speaking from me growing up in such a historic era for especially when we had Sean Paul and all these guys, and especially in hip hop when you look at the big guy Ja Rule, 50 Cent, all these guys that were coming out. That tells me that today Lloyd Banks and Dave East, they have the authentic hip hop records, but the numbers game, I'll tell you that they don't. It's all this other stuff that's just what the record companies are pushing. It's a bunch of politics.
It's a lot. It just, I feel like, but at the end of the day, there's always a way. So I feel like for now it's more like finding that one single and make sure that there's steam coming off your shirt when you drop a project, because I feel like that's where it is right now. So for me, I'm most focused on singles. I've always been a singles guy, to be honest. It's not, and I've learned and understand not to feel pressured when you come on to album. Not every artist is the album artist. You know what I mean? Not every artist is a singles artist. Some people get their single off their album, while some people get their single while just creating a single. You get what I mean? So for now, I feel like we're in a time where I don't really business about an album, or it's all about getting the single hot enough to actually move forward. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And we brought up you being the first New York-based dancehall artist to go have that international hit. Something else you have in common with Shaggy is that you were thinking about going into the army, I heard. So he went into the army.
Yeah. I heard. Yeah. I wanted to be in the army. I feel like that's every kid who just, I feel like it's the easy way out. You know what I mean? I feel like it's one of them ways like, yo, I'm gonna just go to the army, knock out a quick 5 years and come home type of vibe, you know what I mean? And I've always been very smart and understanding the background of stuff, so the benefits is good. Like, I don't like to wait for board a plane before I became who I was anyway. So, the benefit of that, the house benefits, there's so much benefits that comes with being in the military, and I feel like, and I salute the soldiers. I feel like some of the time we fail to look past the importance of a soldier who keep us safe in America, you know what I mean? And I feel like that was just, in that time, I feel like it was the easy way out.
Have you had an encounter with Shaggy at all throughout your time in the industry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I used to be at his house a lot.
Oh, wow. So you got the full experience to just being around him and how he works.
Yeah, definitely.
That's big time. Any word on you linking up with Drake eventually here? Because I remember back in the day, wasn't he singing along to your records at some of his shows?
I've met Drake once. We never really linked. I met him. I did OVO Fest. When he launched OVO Fest, Dancehall, we had a stage. I did the first one. Actually, I was the first artist to win on the stage, actually. I never forget that. And I've met him for a short bit backstage at his OVO Fest. We was doing rehearsal or something like that. But as far as like linking and talking, no, not necessarily like we're brethren that we're cool. But I respect Drake, and I'm pretty sure he respects me.
Yeah,
if it's one thing about Drake, his ears is in the street.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and that's still in the cards for you down the road here. But I did want to talk to you about your discovery of Afro Beats and just the rise and current state of dancehall, because you've been experimenting with Afro Beats way before this current. You see the surge that's going on. So, talk to me about your discovery of them, and what do you think the current dancehall? What's your view on that right now for the sound?
So my manager is African. One of my managers is African. Pee and I was exposed to Africans a long time before even the whole music part. We don't even know. There was friends that was Africans, I didn't even know they was African. And when I started going on the road, I started hearing it a lot. When I went to Europe, I was like, yo, yeah, this sound like it's coming, like this is moving. And then I met Wizkid. I don't remember, what's crazy? I don't remember how me and Wizkid met. I can't remember how we met, but we actually met, and we became cool. And we did Can't Believe, the record Can't Believe, with me, him, and Ted Sign. And I started coming. I saw the difference with the music. It was very authentic. It sounded like it didn't sound watered down. It sounded like something totally different, if that makes sense. And yeah, we did the record, and what can I say? That record is 50 million streams, or more than 50 million streams, just on Spotify only, without no real radio push. That was just an authentic record that just flew in the market in Europe, Australia. I went to New Zealand after that record. Like, it just did great in Africa also. And I'm just happy that I saw it coming, and I'm happy that it was something that I tried, but I never tried to be an African artist, if that makes sense. I stayed authentic to myself, while Wisdom stayed authentic to themselves, and that's how that record became a magic.
And with the Can't Believe It record, because there's a remix originally, Jason Derulo was on this.
And which one?
Can't Believe record.
No, he was on Nobody Has to Know remix.
Oh, okay. He was on that remix.
He was on Nobody Has to Know remix, which we never put it out.
That you never put that out, yeah? Because I was hearing about that, so it was Nobody Has to Know.
Yeah, he came on the record, and it was a dope verse, but he was singing about eating and all that type of stuff. I mean, I say, yo, brother, listen to me. Our culture don't play them game there. So I think we tried to get him to change some lyrics. I don't remember, don't quote me, but I think that didn't go how we wanted to go, and then we end up. But when I heard Ty Dollar verse, I was like, this is it.
And it
I
took
was like,
off.
and it took off, yes.
Yeah, and we're seeing everything that you have on here. Midnight Sparks was the debut. How do you look back on that album now that's at the debut one for you?
Rumors. Listen, it's not because I did it. That's one of the most amazing projects I think, man. It balances the tone of like dancehall with R&B fusion, like never before. When you listen to Between Us and Nobody Has to Know and Lily Love, those records just have this unique sound of a perfect blend between R&B and dancehall. It just represented me as a New York-based artist. Like it was fresh. It was too fresh. It was. I feel like that project was so advanced that it went over a lot of people's head, and then people start catching up back on the record after, like with Stamina and those records and Moonlight. So, but it's one of the greatest projects. Like
Uh,
honestly. Yeah.
I agree. And you were doing your thing during quarantine too. You didn't let that stop. You had the #1 song
Yes,
during that time.
right.
And I think before that you were also working with Tory Lanez. We Can, that record. So how was your experience of working with Tory?
It was cool, man. I was on tour with them. I was on tour with me, Whiskey, yeah, me, Tory Lanez, Jacquees, um, Jid. It was a dope, man. It was a dope tour. And that was the first that opened me to America. I think we did 47 states. And it's just like woman every night and just like, cause that you know, it's the artist is like, those are the type of music we sing. So it was man, listen, it was one of the greatest experience of my life.
One of the great, it definitely, and the record shows it too. That's a hit. I mean, I like how you never want to oversaturate the market, and I think you definitely have the right approach when it comes to that, because when you do drop, people are going to have high expectations because it's quality.
100%.
And that's how it used to be.
100%. I feel like music is something that is had to be cherished. I feel like it's something that needs tender care, like a woman takes time. And when it's done properly, it's done properly. Because it's not every song is gonna hit overnight. Some songs take 6 months, some songs take a year, some songs take 2 years, some songs takes 2-3 weeks. Depends on the record. But I feel like once you release quality, it's only a matter of time before it replies to you, you know.
Yeah. I do want to touch on this because I know you're always about it in all your interviews and everything you do. You love the women talk. What is your definition of a hot girl?
One will look good.
When that
When she look good as a hot girl, you know what I mean? When she look good. Personality comes after. Nobody look at the girl and say, oh, you have a great personality, I want her. You know what I mean? It's the looks that come first. So once she's hot girl, she's hot girl.
no more taxi guys. I heard about this taxi guy that got with one of the no taxi guys anymore. Is that out of here?
Them days the finish.
But you see it. Have you noticed? Because I had this conversation with someone else recently about just the state of women and everything going on with social media and everyone's a model and all this stuff going on. You see that women, as they come along now, they're trying to model themselves off of what they see on the internet. You've been noticing that?
Yeah, a lot. I feel like most of them that do that is a place of, I don't know what the word is called, but some people just do those type of stuff to get attention, and while some genuinely just feel, you know what it is? I always tell somebody, morals to me is not morals to everybody else. So what's my morals is different from your morals. So if you sleep good at night doing what you do, that's fine. Once you don't go to your bed and you feel upset about it, that's fine. You know what I mean? Because what I may like, she may like. What she may like, I may not like. So all of our morals is all different. So just do what you want, darling. So if you look good and you want to post, you look good, that's fine. And I just feel like everybody should do what they want to do once they're morally okay with it.
Oh man, no, you're always into that. It's crazy. Always be yourself, man. That's important. I love how you're always about that in your conversations. I want to get into the Wild and Out MTV with your battle for the dance hall anthem with Sean Paul. How was that?
Yeah. That was great. Sean Paul is one of my favorite artists. As far as dancehall is concerned, that's like the pinnacle. You know what I mean? So that was a great experience. I think that was the first time I actually had a conversation and stuff, and it was dope. It was dope.
You got to get a potential record in the works between you two. I think that would be a dance hall anthem within itself.
Yeah, it's not impossible. Anything is possible under the sun.
Yeah, I see that happening, man. What's next on the horizon for you now? Now you got Vibes Weekends out. That's the one that you're pushing. What's next? What's going to be? Because I know you're a big singles guy. So what's the next single you're looking at?
For now, I'm just gonna keep recording until I find one that talks to me. You know, I like when records say, "Hey, I'm the guy." You know what I mean? So right now, just keep recording I'm back in recording mode. I've recording a while. I just started recording back like last week. And because I wanted to clear my mind, and I was doing the transfer from the label and stuff like that. So now it's all about just getting everything down pack and then pick a single and keep it pushing.
That's great, man. It's something that I do appreciate about you is that you're tapped into all the up and coming talent as well, especially with an artist I've had on my show, Jay Swishes. He's someone that you did a record with. So yeah, he's dope. Who are some other people that you have your eye on right now? And it can even be for dancehall.
I listen to everybody, man. I listen to all of the dancehall artists. Amari right now, Armani. I mean, I listen to Najee Wild. I listen to all of them. Like as far as like, not necessarily say I go and listen to the album or the project. Like if somebody say this record is dope or this record is fire, I go listen to them. Same thing in the hip hop world. I listen to everybody. I try to see what the new sound is, what the tempo is, I feel like that's what it's boiling to. Ears, and that's all I'm paying attention to.
What's it gonna take, Kranium? I want to know when you talk about dancehall just being a flavor. What's it gonna take for it to be a priority?
What's it gonna take for it to be a priority? Man, that's a good question. What would it take to be a priority? I don't even think that it matters. I just feel like it's all about making great music. We just need to have good songs, and once we have good songs, and it's not no more one this year and in 5 years the next one. Once it's consistent, I feel like that's what makes it work. Because at the end of the day, America is not dominantly Caribbean, so you know what I mean. Hip hop is their priority. This is their land, so we can't expect to be all we are the priority. But as far as like adding more flavor, like make the soup stand out more with our flavor. That's all I think that's needed.
And you're going to be one of the ones to do it, man. You see it with all the hit records that you have right now. You're making history. And keep going. Kranium, is there anything else you would love to let my audience know, the fans know, anyone that we didn't bring up here?
Most definitely, man. Thanks for the love. I appreciate it. Stay strong, you know what I mean? Keep listening to music, represent dancehall music straight, and love you guys. Bless up.
Of course, and they can follow you on Instagram and Twitter and all that TikTok at Kranium as well.
Yeah, Kranium. That's Twitter. That's Instagram. No Thread, which is that I like Thread, and the whole thing. I mean, X is not Twitter anymore. X. So yeah.
Before Kranium, it was Firebird.
Yeah, so yeah, Fire. Back in the day, yeah, when I was younger, I was like 15, 16, trying to do culture music. I thought I was pure. Then I realized that it's really woman I love, and then I started singing those songs.
And you dropped the C from your name, put the K on, just came up with it like that.
100%. Because the Kranium with the C was cool, but because my name is Kemar, I was like, let's drop the C and put the K.
And it worked, man. It's a legend here, man. Kranium, thank you for coming on the show, man. I appreciate it. Anytime you want to come back on, you're always welcome. I'm going to have your records. I have Vibes Weekend in my rotation, so I'm going to be in tune to everything you got in the future, and I'll make sure to support you. You're always welcome on. Thank you to Ronnie as well for getting us connected.
Big up, Ronnie, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Anytime.